Alright, welcome back to another fantasy video. Let's start off here by taking a brief look at the Katowice playoffs. I did okay, got the average 12 points, you know how we do. I mean, I barely got it to be honest, but a lot of that is due to Spirit getting absolutely battered in the finals and Chopper picking up minus 29 points. So Chicken Out could have potentially netted me a few more season points, but I'll take 12 for now. Still start of the season, no need to rush things. So I'd say overall I'm just fine with this. Uh, and let's move on to the next one. So Cluj-Napoca, long time no see. Now there's a really interesting mix of teams here, and I think we're gonna see a lot of different types of drafts. The teams that immediately jump out to me are Mongols, Face, Eternal Fire, VP, and believe it or not, 3D Max. For some reason, I always have faith in 3D Max. I know they just swapped out Jocko for Body, I believe. And they've only played like 2 online games, so there's not much sample size to analyze. But just looking at the other teams, Falcons, I don't really trust them at the moment. Plus, the player pricings are kind of all over the shop, so it's kind of difficult to justify going for these unknown teams in a sense, because all their players are still like decently expensive. But Mouse, new roster, way too expensive for me to even think about. Astralis are not convincing anyone. Pain is usually a team, I would say, and I would expect them to go through here, but they kind of fell off at Katowice in the plains. I don't know what happened there, but they just completely lost the plot and didn't manage to do anything there. So that's a bit worrying. So I'm probably not looking into picking them. MIBR, maybe wildcard, maybe some budget options there. Big, don't have too much trust in them at the moment. FlyQuest, same thing, and the rest are just, I'm not even gonna touch them. But yeah, let's just quickly look at the players here. So Eternal Fire and Mongols are pretty much the most big teams right now. And you understand why. Both showed a good game at Katowice, and we have a decent sample size at the beginning of the season to have formed some kind of picture of their game. And that's why I think it's a safe option for most people. Major is a bit expensive for my taste, but as you can see, all that, even Carrigan is 190, Techno is 196, so you have to pretty much pick someone who's like 190, even though you probably wouldn't want to. And the sad thing is with this pricing, as you can see, everyone is quite expensive. Like the mouse prices are like, only if you're like a full-on daredevil are you gonna go there. Like, I just don't see the appeal there. VP actually probably the most fair pricing out of all the teams, but this early on in the season, I'm probably not ready to get hurt by VP again, because they screwed up a few events for me last season, so I don't think I'm quite ready to go back there just yet, but they have some interesting options. Fame at 203, Flammes at 205 especially, I think could be interesting picks. I'm not touching Caden even if you paid me. Magisk, kind of an intriguing price actually, but he hasn't been too impressive. I mean, Falcons as a whole hasn't been too impressive, but I don't think I'm gonna be putting my money on any of these bottom teams except 3D Max. I think Body. All right, let's actually pull this up. Now this is like super small sample size, and it probably doesn't mean anything because they played against lesser teams. I mean, Heroic is a pretty good squad, and Body did well in both of these games. And I'm not saying you should pick Body because of this, but he's no longer the IGL. Maka is still in-game leading for 3D Max. And I'm kind of hoping at this price point, body, at least for me, is probably the best budget pick. Gravity is an intriguing one as well if you can stretch there. And what I could gather from these two games is that Body's playing more of an entry fragger position, which could potentially be very damaging for his rating, as obviously the level of opponent is significantly higher here. And if he just goes in and dies a lot, he could get absolutely horrid ratings. But also, you know, the HLTV rating tends to favor entries somewhat more than passive players. So I think he's an interesting pick. Another one would be Sonic if you want to go for something a bit more different. You know, he's an opper. He's not an opper anymore. Oh yeah, Foz is the opper. My bad. Well, anyway, Sonic could be an intriguing pick, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of have my eyes set on Body at the moment. But I'm just gonna take up a quick draft here. Like, it's super difficult. You actually have to go with two cheap players because you just don't have money to pick like the mid-tier players, really. So that's why I'm kind of eyeing up Body to free up some cash here, and hopefully he can do okay. That's like my best case scenario. Could go horribly wrong. But let's just look at some teams I drafted up here. Pretty much all these teams have Body in them, and some variation of FaZe, Eternal Fire VP, and Mongols players. So quite similar. I mean, Maka was an interesting option. I don't understand how his hopping activation is so low, but here's what it is. So yeah, as usual, I'm not 100% set on my team. You can check it in the link in the description, so you can see what I picked before the deadline of the event. But yeah, I mean, all of these players are pretty interchangeable, like Elige and Voxic. Then you have like Rain and Flit, and Blitz and Rain, and Dexter, even if you want to go a bit more left field. But this is what I'm on currently. I feel like I've got a solid mix. Like, especially for a Swiss tournament, I just feel like it's pretty viable to go for a 2-1-1-1. I tend to always go for 2-2-1 drafts, and I don't think that's a bad option here either. Say you could, if you wanted to, you could downgrade Voxix to Vicadia and upgrade Rain to Mausinho or something like that. Or 910 even if you wanted to. That's not a bad option actually, something like this. Could be pretty interesting. But I know I don't have the most exciting picks here. And Voxic has actually been quite solid at the start of this season. And they're playing Imperial FE first, so I'm hoping him and Major can rack up some points there. That's pretty much the biggest reasoning for me why I'm picking Voxic as my premium player. You could argue you could go Vicadia and he has an equal chance of getting good points against a weaker team. And then you could upgrade somewhere else. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this draft. Blitz has been doing okay, especially since Senzu has his wrist injury. So he's not performing at his best, so Blitz has to pick up more of the slack. And even with that injury, I'm still expecting Mongols to go 3-0, 3-1 here. Obviously, it could be 3-2 or they don't go through at all, but I'm just... Mongols have just such a solid foundation to their game, so I'm expecting all of these three top teams to go through. The rest are kind of, you know, who knows really. But yeah, that's why I'm pretty much hedging my bets with these top three seeded teams. And the roles pan out pretty well. And even though Body doesn't have amazing entry fragger, if he keeps playing that role and he does decently well, the activation rate is, or the activation like percentage needed is so low that I just like the role for him here, and I don't have much else if I'm honest. But yeah, these are my thoughts at the moment. things could change, but I'm pretty happy with this. So that's gonna be it. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment, leave a like, and good luck with this difficult fantasy event.